Camera 1. Camera 2. Camera 1. I don't actually have a camera 2, but for a second you were like, whoa, he has a camera 2. Just there. I don't. I only have that one. Okay, so. Oh yeah, I'm here. Oh, this is that wall where the train happens.
What the?
You missed just turning. Oh, I thought I was hijacking the bus.
Have a hacked vehicle. Search for the offender.
I just want to see if I can murder this man.
Right.
Good times.
Let's spread out and look. Drone,
Political writer
begin
and
search.
broadcaster back in the days of pre-crisis hospitals.
Why are the horns so weird in this parallel just future? Oh, okay. Actually, yeah. Instead of doing this, let's we can try and recruit someone else, right? Yeah, recruit her. Oh shit! Stream Raiders, is it already ready? Nice, fucking A. Let's do that shit. Let's go, yo. We're going for here, and I'm gonna lay down another haste. Yeah, to these guys because we need them to get to the cards first. Go. I did cast a spell. What are you saying? There you go. Trying to backchat me. Jeez, game. Whoa, look at him go. Nice, just running through him. GG, easy. Okay, random ones. Almighty and Heinen. I'm pretty sure. Right, the next ones I won't do. Like, I won't do random. But I'm pretty sure like Almighty and Heinen have won in like every one tonight. But they've been damn good fighters, you know. Let's put down the Musketeer right by these crabs. Almighty was top. Not sure about Heinen. Yeah, Heinen got like the most kills, I think. He had the most kills at one point for sure. He carried his own weight. Definitely carried his weight. All these people dislike DedSec. Hates DedSec. Shit, is that because I got him run over? Can I remove them? Yeah, abandon recruitment from this bitch. Okay. How do I change to a team member? Yeah, let's see what he's saying. Cool. Oh, clothing bought is shared between all of your operatives. That's good
Resistance is
to know.
only as good as the people in it. We're happy to have you.
Oh, yes. I'm ready, willing, and able to serve.
Great.
Okay. Latest data.
What's her story, Bags?
Looks like she's a marked woman. Clank Kelly put a bounty on her head.
What happened here?
Why?
She's an underground bare-knuckle boxer, and she's more dangerous and bloodthirsty than a mosquito with malaria. She managed to take down a mob-backed favourite in her last match. Now they're sending out an enforcer to make sure she never wins again.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Your life. Or so those Kelly twats would like to think. Bags, locate that enforcer, will you?
Already done.
Sweet.
Auto drive now enabled.
Nothing in your life matters. On an individual basis, you are now part of the whole, part of the nation, and the only meaning that you will find in life is to become part of the nation. What is a nation? A nation doesn't mean anything, right? The nation is basically just encapsulated
on this
by
phone
the
and
leader
shit.
that takes over, that claims that he, has this sort of access to the soul of the country, to the soul of the people.
Skill invest to earn more ETO. Oh, he sounds pretty
That's
decent.
what they go for. And on that basis, they take the right to control every.
What is Auto Drive doing here?
Auto drive now
where
disabled.
you eat to where you go to hang out with your friends. And what we're seeing now is a contemporary iteration of this process where you get corporations and the state operating in tandem, basically molded into one another.
Oh
that
shit.
isn't that rare. We saw exactly the same thing in Nazi Germany. You look at the concentration camps that operated in Nazi Germany.
Oh, that was tweet.
Private companies in those camps making use of that slave labor.
Wahoo!
Doing the same now. That's the way.
That's
to
right.
Track what you do.
Hey,
That's
shit, a
the
little
way
skate
in which they
park. That's
track
cool.
who you talk to. They operate as each other's proxies.
That's a pretty weird skate park.
Charles is an expert in
Oh.
the dark arts of surveillance who worked to set up democratic media in post-communist states. How did it go so wrong in
Huh,
Britain?
that sign says it's one-way street, but I can fit.
You know, we're looking at all the wrong things when we look at Britain's crisis. There's a lot of
I wonder if cars
concentration
explode
on
from this sort of
data,
impact.
how that's been used and manipulated. And what we haven't looked at is the power structures and the profit that lies behind this. For example, if we examine what actually happened, you know, there's a company that's really very interested in selling passports and making it easy to provide visas for investment.
I heard blood.
Throughout the world,
Definitive
they've been
blood there.
working with this big data manipulation company in
Hey,
order
we haven't
to
taken the subway yet.
overthrow
Or the underground,
governments,
sorry.
and
The
then
tube.
Suddenly, all the chickens came home. Nobody could find any receipts for what was paid for. Nobody could figure out how things were done.
Paintball gun.
All right, take it easy.
I can't fucking wait to get
What's news?
What you said?
What you see? Okay, yep, good thing we're doing fast travel, because fuck me, they're super far away. Clara called me after dead second informant. Alright. Moorgate. Alright, sweet. My just too good? Yeah, right. You got that fighting gusto in you, you know. No one can stop y'all. Out of control. Oh shit! Oh shit! I don't mean to be in. Oh, Finsbury Garden. Nice. I want to be in there. That looks like fun. Also, I'm not trespassing. I'm just trying to get through here quicker. It's not my fault they're trying to shut down the entire road. It's greedy on their front, if anything.
Vehicle acting up. Shut it down.
I want to know who's tampered with this vehicle.
It was me, but don't tell him.
That's just crass.
You're crass. You bitch. This guy seems cool.
They're not getting away that easy. Burn out. Drone, initial.
I could do with a car. Hang on. It's too far away. I was going to try and reverse it. Oh, this would do.
Companies as well.
The enforcer we're after is here, currently assaulting some other Borg camp that pissed off the Kellys. If you take them out, our boxer friend may live to fight another day.
I will make quick work of you.
Rather he didn't.
You're going to regret this.
I didn't do anything.
Let's have a chat. Come back here and take your beat.
I didn't do anything.
You are going to hurt very badly.
I think it's no fun. I'm going in. Come out.
I saw someone head out that way. Go look.
I'll have a look. I'll have a look.
Man, these people just went hardcore straight away. Hey.
See them.
No one here. Moving on.
Oh, I forgot he had a wrench. Fucking hell. Shit, they saw me.
If the shithead's gone, then there's not one problem anymore.
If the milk turns out to be sour, I ain't the kind of cat to drink it. You know what I'm saying? Wait, whoa, they're up there shooting me now. That's illegal. Guns are illegal. Do you know what? Fuck it.
What are you playing at?
That's them there.
Am I just gonna kill them?
There. Who says violence never solves anything? Now scarper or they'll kill you for sure.
Scar! Oh shit, and red, black, pink for those, dude. How you doing today, my man? We're fucking down in London. That's it. Make them think we're turning that way when really we're not. We're turning back this way. I know these streets like the back of my fucking hand. I need a bridge. Or just to turn that thing off, I guess. Fuck off.
Brilliant bunch of wankers, aren't we?
Don't break out the tiny party hats just yet. We might have bought our Boxer some time, but once Aunt Kelly finds out what happened, they'll almost certainly want revenge. Suggest you warn her.
Heading there now.
Hello, Bugs. This is Brad. This is Alison. Today
Auto
we're
drive
going to be
now
pretending that
enabled.
everything is fine.
Auto drive.
Auto drive now
It's a
disabled.
crock of shit. Let's try this again. Auto drive.
Auto drive now
Friday
enabled.
today, we're going to road test the latest update to the.
Why would you park your car there? That's just irresponsible.
The great British tradition of snitching on people you don't like.
Now get out of the road.
Very
That's
hard
it. Go get your car.
The school playground. I'm going to tell a new threat. It's got a whole new lease of life these days, thanks to CISA, and isn't Britain all the more fun because of it? No more
See, to me, games like this, they should give you the option to put a road map or like road names on the actual radar, so you can like see exactly where you are on that.
Formerly known as the prison service. What was the slogan? Is it if you see something, say something, or if you think you might at some point see something, say something, or if you haven't seen anything but don't like someone, say something.
Auto
anyway.
drive now disabled.
Well, let's have a look at this new app, Alice. I'm sure you've got it on.
Just change the radio up, see what it's saying. Not feeling the metal. Okay, so that's the dancehall R&B one. Right, we've got the grime station. Let's get London up in here. Oh, there is a wall here. That was my biggest fear. Excuse me. Okay, this song's pretty awful. Next one, please. Oh shit! Jimmy baby! 30 months now, god damn boy! Yeah, boy. Jimmy, thank you so much, man. You're absolute delight, dude. And 30 months, god damn. I super appreciate it. Taxamika, my man. And how are you doing today, dude? We're currently just having a drive about in London. That's how you're meant to drive in London. Have they got any good music on this? Whoa. Tune. This is what I like to smash up London listening to. Do 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 do. Oh, back to Camden. Okay. Don't just smash this fence in. Cool. It was pissing me off earlier.
What's a hurry? I'm detecting some Clan Kelly movement in the area.
I was actually in the market. All right, sick. Let's go. Well, fucking you slag. You alright?
Hey, there's no time to explain, but you're in serious danger. What do you mean?
You played a few games of Rocket League, started out well, nice one. 10 out of 10 games, damn. Then all of a sudden everyone went shit, lost 5 straight. It's probably because it ranked you super high at that point, but fucking A for those 10 out of 10 though. Hey London, not enough power on the street corners, is it, bro? I'm doing great, cheers, dude.
The offer, but there's too many for you to take.
Oh, I had my, like, it's actually, I'm feeling a lot better now, and I realised when I did that to you, it didn't even hurt my arm. I can get up this high before it starts hurting now. I had my vaccine injection yesterday, and I was feeling a bit, like, tired and achy and shit, but it seems to be, like, petering out now. Like I said, I'm expecting my superpowers to appear any moment now. What the fuck am I even meant to do here? Just not die, or...? Yeah, survive. Well, that didn't work. I need a better gun. So this piece of shit. Bring it on, blood! Go fuck yourselves. Now no one gets to play. That's what I just said. I literally just said no one gets to play, and then she chose like, playtime's over, blood, you know. And I got the AstraZeneca, so the blood clot one. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got the Oxford AstraZeneca one, or whatever it's called, I believe. But it just basically turned up, you get whatever they're doing on the day kind of thing. But yeah, I guess like some of them might have slightly different like side effects and that. I think if you do get any side effects from the vaccine, I think it is meant to be quick passing.
Get somewhere safe so we can contact our fighter.
I'm coming for you. What the fuck's going on with that thing? Reckon we need a lockdown here.
I don't know. We're still in a lockdown. Don't recommend another one. Sweet. All right, I got one nerd. That was beautiful. Oh, I missed her.
All units, possible suspects or suspects reported near your location. Received. We'll engage if necessary.
Don't die, don't die, don't die. Shit, that spun around way too quick.
Control, I can't see the suspect.
Television sound of it should pass within a couple of days. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Auto drive now enabled.
That's it, just blend in, blend in. What? Oh, bollocks! How was I sighted? What's this? What does this mean?
They passed through the checkpoint. Over.
So that's good, right? Is a checkpoint good or bad? I don't know. I don't know if I should be going through checkpoints or not. There's one over here. I'll check. Are they like police checkpoints or are checkpoints?
Control, suspect is through the checkpoint. Over.
Suspects through the checkpoint. Right, okay. Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
No sign of the target. Over.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. Christ. I knew the Kellys were bastards, but not this petty.
Okay, cool.
There's no concept of a fair fight left in this town.
Yeah, so there's a whole list of stuff that might happen, like you might throw up and shit, but...
Get to join us.
Fine.
I think, yeah, whatever it is, it's not going to be as intense as COVID, so, yeah. Alright, so I got her. She's hard as nails as well. Alright, well, let's go see what she's saying. Orange pipes. See, orange pipes allow you to climb and reach higher positions, yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying. I don't get my own load screen.
Hooray! Another friend to raise hell with. Welcome to DedSec.
Yes, well, I'm ready to help however I can.
Fabulous.
That's not the accent I imagined from her. Alright, fucking jog on, mate. Fucking jog on. Okay, so... This dude looked badass. Yeah, look at him. That's what these people dislike DedSec. Why do they dislike? Man, why has our name got so bad? What's Marcus done to this world? Alright, so some of these are shit, so we should just abandon them. I'm guessing we should only really go for people who have multiple, like this dude kind of thing. But people who just have a few, it's probably not worth it. Like you. Oh, that was the bartender. Right, yeah. I'm abandoning you. Get wrecked, no one likes you. I'll leave all these. So, oh, he like dislikes DedSec, so I can't actually recruit any of these people. They would dislike us. Okay, well, that's nice of them. Oh, we should do some... Yeah, maybe she'll... Although she lost a bare knuckle fighting, she should be better at it, right? And I'll get loads of shit if I do this one.
Probably won't break it.
Kelly's
You'll
or
find it
Aldi.
later.
According to a SIRS official,
Oh, this doesn't have a auto
was never
drive.
a threat,
Well,
which I
shit.
guess is true in that it was never a threat in the first
Does
place.
M just get a map? It really does. Alright, just straight turn around.
My
Sweet.
great Aunt Gladys had her appendix out. Oh, Andy, that surgeon's a real threat, waggling that knife at me, trying to knock me out. Well, they called a scalpel and an anaesthetic, Gladys. Anyway, if SIRS...
Yeah, the horn's really delayed. Like, press.
We have to assume that DedSec's never been strong.
I was hoping it was a ramp. I was hoping it would ramp up, not ramp down. Yeah. Am I going the right way? Yeah. I'll go on foot. Let's take in the sights. Oh shit, we're in Chinatown. Shit's always going down in Chinatown. Turn right. That's the best way to go in London.
Right, let's find her what's-its then.
Why would you buy what's-its in Chinatown? There's so much.
Searching for the one who hacked this vehicle.
Now, usually there's some dead rabbit hanging up around here, so I'll be very upset if there's no skinned dead rabbits hanging up. Wow. Wow. All of Chinatown are not even a single rabbit.
Getting close.
Warmer. Warmer. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, you. You like bare knuckle?
Sure.
You think you're tough, don't you?
Yeah, totally.
You know why we fight here in Slaughterhouse?
For money?
Why?
Because you're gonna be cut up like a piece of meat.
Definitely not in any restaurants around here.
Butcher you. I'm eager to watch.
Oh, okay. Nine, 4, 8 star. Easy. Alright, let's put my smoke down, get ready to lay the smackdown on these candy ass jabronis. That's tennis talk for you. Oh, is that a game? Because I see them wearing that colour a lot.
Just kidding.
Alright, I don't need to see you fronting and shit. Let's go, you first punch.
How about this?
Yeah, that's it, good.
You buy me a drink.
What absolutely disgusting!
Oh, fucking Glasgow kiss, nice.
Absolutely disgusting!
Smack down. Didn't even take my bag off. Didn't even need to take my bag off. Fuck it, oh, yeah. Oh, look at this slag. Who starts with a flying drop kick? Fucking arrogant piece of shit. Fucking nut you with my cap, you get the extra peak blast. I'm not your bruv. Oh wait, are we related? Fucking go! Oh, stomp the bitch! Oh, his neck's broke. He's dead. You saw that. His neck is broke. Oh, now I've got to fight the Joker, who's also Iceman from X-Men. He's got fucking chains on his wrist. What's this? How come I always come into these like massively underprepared?
Come on then, let's have it.
He's gonna totally finish me.
I'm gonna knock you out. Can't get
I'm gonna spark you out.
Cool, I was wondering if my life comes back or not. Oh shit, I pressed the wrong button. Okay, cool. So we getting too deep, just back away. And he's gaffer. The Joker again? What, has everyone just got green hair around here? For Dickhead McGee! Richard Hall. Dick Hall. Calls for backup when losing. Right, okay. So, not a dropkick, but George Masvidal, KOD, Ben Asked with a... Oh shit, hang on. Flying knee and UFC right style match. Really? That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty badass. I mean, it's not something you'd expect, I guess, right? So I already knocked him out like I had that other person, but now they call up their special move. I've got to fight 3 of them, as well as him? This is bullshit. What's wrong with your neck, man? It doesn't like ever want to re-aim. Oh, because I never finished him off. Come here, you slag. Alright, fucking hell. Oh, cool. Yeah, sweet, no frame. I was off on my hand, but they're dirty cheaters. Check the link you sent in a whisper? Okay. I'll open up for after stream to check. Oh, that's going to be... Oh, it's opened it up now anyway. This is going to be the dropkick, I'm guessing. Right, I'm going to mute it, but let's watch this little dropkick. Yo can't see, but I can. Oof. Man, it's so savage as well. When they just like smash their, like, just bash their faces in after they've already knocked them down, it's always crazy. Okay, so they're all kind of shit, but he's pretty cool. I'll save it. No. No one. Oh, fuck. I didn't want her saved. Him we'll keep there. We just get all the bare knuckle fighters on our team. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Who's asking? Promote him in West End until 8. Oh, I want to bet. He's speeding, guys. Hey, this is my car. Oh wow, how fortunate that we're right here.
Auto drive now enabled. I mean, overall, Alice, I think we're still ahead as men, but you lot are
see,
catching up.
on like Watch Dogs 2, you could control the traffic lights. They don't have massive intersections necessarily, like
cream and spice and all things nice.
Like in like America
That's
and that,
what
but
little
beatboxer
treats
performs
are made
music. Hells yeah.
Sanjoli's Kitchen, voted best tikka masala in London.
This is the bug. Hello, resistors. It's bug time. Are you all sitting comfortably? No? Good. That's as it should be. This is the bug. I'm Andy, and joining me to analyse the latest localised to emerge
Get 'em.
reports of once free Britain, it's Alice.
Hello,
Yeah, fuck that bike up.
We're going to talk to you about...
Oh shit, okay, we're going through like the West End net now by the looks of
The
it.
government has extended Albion's contract and have also boasted that violent
What's
crime
showing at the moment?
has plummeted to a record low.
I think that's where they showed Camelot last time I was in London.
That's like having
I haven't seen Camelot, but I'm pretty sure that's where they were showing it.
that attacks you every single day, and thinking to yourself,
Oh, what's that
"Wouldn't it
about?
be nice if Nigel had puppies?"
That contract has been extended so many times. It's like the neck of a politician that's criticised the government.
I'm not sure entirely how those contract extension negotiations went. Probably like a
All
footballer.
these famous people, man. They don't look
The older
famous.
Ursula Albion's agent was leaking stories to the press about how our favourite private militia was being tapped up by Barcelona. And, you know, the government panics and thinks, well, we better get them signed
Okay,
up before it's
let's
too
actually check where we're going. Some of these I think are going to be super far. Right, let's go to a... That one's probably closer, right? I actually want to fast travel. Oh, I can just fast travel from anywhere to these. Oh, okay. Well, that makes life a lot more simple. Right, I thought I had to physically go to an underground station. Right. Easy now. Saxophone remote, that's cool. Doom, spontaneous death. Frail takes more damage. I might recruit his mate though.
What do you think you're going to accomplish here?
I want your saxophone remote. Oh shit, I didn't see him there, my bad. Alright, it's pretty much straightforward. Oh no, that car's actually stopping up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It went too far backwards. Oh, let's take this, like, what, mini kind of thing? Yeah. Oh, what, they think I stole this now?
Perform a search.
London ambulance, jeez, get out the way. Slightly to the right when we can. Shortcut through here? Yeah, it worked.
I say again, all units, we have reports of a hostile in your area, over. Moving inbound to hostile.
Oh shit, stream mode battle is ready, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm running from 5-0 at the moment. Take a right. Shit.
Just about there. Right, let's find her what's it's then.
Okay, let's do the stream mode battle quick. Because your boy will forget. So, we're going to put down on this one murder weapon for all these people. Alright, let's go. Is Ken entering the place? It is indeed, yeah. Yeah, all of the places so far are 100% been real places. The names have been accurate as well, yeah. But Kennington's a place, yeah. Wait, the clams are evil? I thought the clams were on our side. Why would the clams go against people? Look at this though. I mean, saying why does Iron get paid? Iron gets paid because of this shit. Look at that. 15 kills. Oh shit, and we got those ships like give off. Yeah, shit, there we go. That makes life a bit more difficult. We might fail this one even with Iron's massive amount of kills. We have failed it. Savage. Hey, 3 coins. Get wrecked. We'll try it again. I mean, shit happens. So, guys, pick your best troops for this one because apparently it's gonna be difficult. Let's try and put our peeps together as well. Maybe that's probably the best shout, right? So let's do it here. So hopefully they go straight for the ships. Yeah, place them around my berserker if you can, and hopefully they go straight to the ships. Yeah, that's it. Iron and Mighty like fucking wrecked it hard. Yeah, we still failed miserably. Unavailable while under pursuit. Can I do this though? Can I just not be under pursuit anymore, please? Sweet.
Calling off the pursuit. Over and out.
Can we not chat anymore? Around London bus depot. Alright, that's good to know. Fight! To be fair, I might even at some point off stream, like just drive around London, see what they've done, like for the most of it, see how far it stretches. So I feel like there's gonna be more than just a few like opposing gangs as well. He's not going to wake up, I'm going to give him brain damage. Fucking naughty, weren't it? This guy literally does sound like I voiced him. It's brilliant. It's awful. Did you just say butt fucking wild?
Just like a proper live highlight reel. Oh my god! What absolutely disgusting!
Fucking filthy.
Well, that's what happens when you're
Fucking finish her. There we go. That's what happens when you're shit. You fucking love it. Uno's always worth your time. Don't listen. Oh, you can actually guard?
Oh shit! Could that be the win right now? An unbelievable blow! Don't know how anyone will come back from that. And that's a hit!
Ooh.
One for the record books. Did you all see that monster hit on the street?
Did you see that ludicrous display the other night? What was Wenger thinking? There is only one ship this time, yeah. Hopefully we'll get through it a bit easier. I don't know if they like more come, because I didn't really pay attention to how many ships there were last time. This guy's got Wise Boy written on his the top of his head. Is it Wise? It does say Wise, right? Conleth Moloney gained notoriety for his dirty fighting style. 10-1. He throws sand in my eyes. Not that I'm gonna actually put money on it. He's gonna throw sand though. Look at him bigging it up. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Leave me. Hear that? You hear them screaming for your blood? They're getting murdered in there. Oh, they look like fucking hurt. Oh shit! Could that be the win right now? Oh, they look like fucking hurt.
Okay, so now he's gonna get dirty. What's he gonna do to get dirty though? Is he gonna start breakdancing? Or weaponry? Ah, we're just weaponry. That's like the weakest of dirty fighting. I was hoping he was gonna throw sand. Not just get some gold crowbar. Like crowbars have ever hurt anybody. But like, I'm not a door. How's a crowbar gonna hurt me? In fact, they did worse once they got the weapon. Fucking hell, now they're also dead.
Hope you didn't bet on the wrong fighter. That's how it goes in BKL. Expect the unexpected.
I expected to win. Also, does anybody know if there's like a limit to how many people you can recruit on this? And Zero, my boy! How you doing today, dude? Wait, what? That's not Conleth though, that's Conleth. This is silly. Okay. So yeah, that's not Conliffe. God damn it. Okay, cool. So that's Conliffe. Sweet. Can get rid of... No. Bollocks. Fuck it. Doing good. Got your hairs cut. Nice. And laundry done-ish. And now smoked a bit of bud and ready to relax. You know it, baby. That's the real talk. Oh shit, a free car. Actually, no. I should take the subway because that's something we can do. The underground. God damn it! I play too many American games now. I actually get the fucking tube. I can't even say shit. Oh, this one right in down in Camden. Let's go. Is it just straight down here? Yeah, let's take the scenic route. Camden's cool, man. What'd you do? Sex worker. Online shopping account banned for repeated returns. Check your phone. I sent her a picture saying, get fucked. Nah, it doesn't look like a good shop. What we got on Camden Market? There is like a couple of bits of Camden Market. This is one of them. What you got? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't really have much money. We'll buy more clothes a day when we have more money. What you do though? To vendor? You don't have any other things about you apart from being a vendor? Wow, man. That guy just dedicates his life to his work, I guess. This is cool though. I like what they've done with Camden. It's always like there's an extra level of like awesomeness to a game when you can play it knowing you've been to that area in real life. Obviously different in the game a bit, but oh, we actually got to go into the actual market bit. Fucking A. Oh yeah, there's a deliver thing here. What's this about? What am I delivering? I did find a parcel. So what did I do? Just wait. Am I a courier now? Is that what's happening? Oh, it is. I don't want to be a courier.
Demands of being a DedSec operative are all consuming.
I'm not.
So taking app gigs is a good way to make some extra quid that works around your new schedule.
I don't want to do this though.
People will pay well to have their...
But I don't want to. I don't want to do this mission. I want to go back to bare knuckle fighting. Go back to tracking
Sensitive
that.
packages handled with care.
Fuck the
and
package.
some will even pay you for deliveries. Ha ha.
Ha ha! Now it's my package, right? This is eerily right because, like, when you further go down here, or like the best bit of Camden Market, you go down like towards that way. Down here, there's just sweet fuck all. Crackheads. Hey, what does that do? Oh.
That's great. Absolutely. If you can, yes.
Just about there.
Nice. How you been, man? You good?
Hey, sorry, you do know this isn't like a normal club, right?
What?
There's no DJ type shit here.
It's
You
DG.
can't like grab a drink and dance your bad day away. We're throwing down here, doing some bare knuckle boxing.
No shit, Doctor.
Alright. Look, no need to get snippy. I just want to make sure you're looking for a fist in the face and not the, you know.
Nose? Like nostril. How many clubs does this dude go to that fisting is the norm?
Online, on the street, are you here live to feel the heat, the sweat, the blood? Wherever you are, this is the most exciting thing you'll see all.
I don't know. The internet's pretty vast. 2 seconds. I'm just gonna finish my smoke. Oh, press the wrong button.
Now that's entertainment, and one massive blow to our fighter. That's what I'm talking about. Solid strike from a solid fighter.
Oh fuck.
Almost knocked their teeth right out.
Oh, buck fucking wild. I thought it said butt fucking wild previously. Straight buck wilding in the place to be. Edward Gleeson, yeah. His dad's that actor, something Gleeson.
Get on your feet and let them hear it.
Uppercut.
Monster on the stream. Fucking hell.
Fucking hell, love.
They're getting murdered in there.
Oh fuck, didn't see that one coming, eh?
And that's a solid blow there.
Uppercut. You ever poop and think you never really pinched it all out? As soon as you stand up, you sit down out of fear. Like, it takes me a while to stand up, so I like to clear it. But sometimes you know there's still more poop coming for later in the day, and that always bugs me. It's like I know there's more poop in me, but it doesn't want to come out right now. You know. Now he's dancing around. See, that's it. Always let them do the first move unless you want to do the first move. That's the rule.
Absolutely disgusting.
What a ludicrous display. Land 4 attack combos. Technically, it's not every combo that I land an attack combo. Power punch, baby. Finish him off. There we go. And he crumpled. I forgot to fight 2 nerds. Oh, cool. Well, they're taking their own HP down for me, so that's good. They also got spiky stuff on them. That's dangerous, right? 4 Fists, created London's most infamous fighting duo. Well, that's because there's 2 of them, right?
Come here and show me. If they wake up.
Well, this will be a nice, easy warm up.
For what? This is the final.
Just like a proper live highlight.
Oh shit, I didn't see that one coming.
Hope you're ready to bleed.
Did you all see that monster hit on the street? Come here and show me a kid.
Oh fuck. Yeah, buddy. Oh, come on.
And that's a solid blow there.
Well, this will be a nice, easy
Oh, now that's what I'm talking about. Solid strike from a solid fighter.
Yeah. Finish him, come on. That's it, break his neck. He's dead. They ain't coming back from that one. Whew. Get the fuck out of my house. By now, if people aren't putting money on me, I've just been going around the scene, like they should, especially social media would be better by now. They should be putting money on me by now. Easy win, you know. Okay, cool. So there's one more of the fighting to do. Can I swim? Yes, yes I can. Maybe it wasn't the quickest way to do this, but can I get inside of the barge? No. But I can use it as a... Oh, no! I was going to say I can use it as a makeshift set of stairs, but I can't. It's illegal. Not in the borough of Camden. You serious? Oh, come on. Fine. You made a boat crash and they thought it was a shark, right? We do have a lot of sharks in London, for sure. They like to try and keep hidden, but we know they're there. I haven't seen any bicycles. And there's a lot of bicycles in London. They're probably one of the more annoying. Well, actually, everything about driving in London's annoying, but they're one of the like most annoying things for sure. Z's. This car shouldn't wait any longer. Oh, that worked out better than I could have hoped. You should carry on with your day too, buddy. Don't let that ruin you. Oh, how are you doing? You're dressed rather sharply.
They can't be far. Find them.
Oh shit. And again. Actually, let's put it back. Let's put it back. I feel bad about that.
You know what to do. Search the area.
Something's going down.
It's a bit further back. That's it. Now you can carry on.
Let's find this wanker.
Let's find this wanker. Okay, let's go over here. So we'll go to Aldgate. Cool. And again, these are all real places. That's why it's a shame they don't put the road names necessarily as well, because there are some funny ass names in London. Can I drive the bus? I know I can like make it do what I want bidding wise, but
Lock that down so we can have a look.
be free! Don't let them lock you down.
Sniff around. Find who's doing this.
What's going on with that? Lock it down.
Anyway, let's go fight. Don't put your gun at me. I was just looking at my mobile phone.
Someone's tampering with this. Find them.
Okay, now we're flying. Move that away. Thanks. Oh, I didn't even do that. That was something else. Okay, so this is going to be our last boxing fight for now. So I assume it's going to be a toughie. Or really easy. Who knows? We'll park here for now. I don't want them to know where my bike is in case things get sour. Who are you? Do you want to be on my team? Nah, actually you only got 2 things. I'm a 3 thing man. I didn't want to be on this. I don't like this bike. I'm not actually in Parcel Force. Why am I still hearing music? Okay. 3, 2, 1, and we're back in the room. Fuck this, I'm gone. Okay, that's the first actual London response we've had in this.
All right, you're here. Let's find the thing.
Hey, how you doing? This person has hair. What a nerd.
You're going to fight, right?
Sure.
Take on our champions?
Yep.
Come again?
Come on. It'll be fun. Like, listen. I won't lie to you.
No, tell me lies, tell me sweet little
They're
lies.
an unbelievably strong tag team.
I've already fought one tag team.
Everyone's always saying the only
Why
thing they
can't I
like
have a
more
tag
than
team?
vodka is kicking ass. Hey, who knows? Maybe you could take them.
Okay, I'll
It'd be
fucking
worth
take
a
them.
shot, right?
I'll take 2
Yes.
shots.
I really want to watch them fight you.
100% coverage, you know. But you probably know you've got to wait out here. You don't even get to watch the matches. You're security. Don't be fronting.
Taste the tension in here. Our fighters
Are you slags ready for the final? This guy's not even wearing shorts. I mean, what? Come on. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here comes my 5th easy knockout. Oh, he got me there. If he was wearing shorts, he would have got me harder. It is. Can I teabag? I don't think I can teabag. Fabian Wolfinger.
You're meant to challenge me. Show me what you've got.
Sure. Alright. Fucking Rick and Morty bitch.
Oh my god! What absolutely disgusting in it!
Come on, bitch.
I'll beat you to a pulp.
Try and hit me. I need this combo. I need it. There we go. I just wanted that like extra thing quick. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what I said. Shit. Well, thanks for the quote, Kyle. That is what I said, wasn't it? Shit.
Come on, you guys.
Wherever you are, this is the most exciting thing you'll see.
You know, unless you go to like orgy fights. Orgy fights are like the craziest thing. You heard the saying they don't know whether they want to fuck or fight.
Oh my god! What absolutely disgusting in it!
Bash your face in.
That was a lovely knockdown.
Lovely. Oh, here we go. Are they Mexican wrestlers? Two mean drunks with a meaner right hook. If they're drunks, why are they just smoking? They should be doing it. I like that they got the Slavic squat though, just not wearing Adidas trousers. I reckon they aren't even Slavic. I reckon this is actually Ninja and Yolandi from Dianford. Just wearing the masks because obviously copyright. Suka blah. Did I hurt her by hurting him? Is that how it works with twins? Oh my god, that's how it works with twins. Oh fuck me, they very nearly made this interesting.
Pray to your mother, not that it will help.
Yeah, my mum's dead, so that's definitely not gonna help. Okay. Oh, god damn it.
Time to introduce my fist to your fucking face!
Fucking wild! Oh my god! All these they're gonna feel that hitch in the morning if they wake up. Did you see all that on the live stream? Oh shit! Absolutely disgusting!
Right, he's down. I just need to get my health back. There we go.
Just like a proper live highlight reel.
he just finally gave up. He was still trying to cling to life. Oh, and yeah, man, every time that happens, their necks, they're genuinely dead. Fully dead. I don't know how you back up, you're dead. Well, your sister's definitely dead. You might have just got hurt a lot. Turn a worm, yeah, does it? Scotty too hotty and shit. Grandmaster Love? I mean, Grandmaster Flash was jealous. Who was the wrestler's name? There was Grandmaster, because it was Scotty too hotty, right? And then it was Grandmaster something. But was it just Grandmaster Flash? Did he that uninventive with his name? Hey, handwear. I get some neat handwear now. I love where this is going. I didn't even make that turn. That turned on its own. Oh, fucking hell.
Can't deal with this one. Something's wrong here. Lock it down. Cut them down. Let's keep our eyes peeled.
Look at this scooter just having the time of its life.
Lock it down.
Oh shit! Why did that happen to me? Why am I swimming? That hit me so hard I thought I was in the water. I'm getting out of here. Why is this a mission? What are you saying? Why would I want to recruit you? You haggard arsehole. A little bit, right? You got charged €3 to withdraw money from your free crypto holdings. Is an outrage?
You should work with us.
Did you have at least $3?
Like that's it. Not likely. How do I know you're not hiding the fake murdered man?
What?
The barrister.
Who is this guy? I don't even think I fought him.
To be named Home Secretary. He's alive and well. He's much more effective guiding foreign policy now, away from the public's view. We'll be at war with France before you know it.
In theory, now you receive €23. Oh yeah, you're making those gains on crypto, my man.
I'll get it done.
I'll get it done. I'll fuck up any quant.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph Bagley did that.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Fucking hell, really? They went there.
Allegedly, his shadow.
This game is just straight
headquartered
stereotypes.
at the nearby Albion field office. Might be worth investigating regardless.
Might as well. At the very least, we might learn something about Albion.
Okay. Stay strong, G. You know what I'm saying, my man? No, I said go to sleep. Get him. Can't argue with free money. You can argue with anything. Try and prove me wrong. Yeah. Millennium Wheel's actually like listed as a thing. We should go for Butcher's at it. Maybe we can ride it. We can't get to Waterloo. We haven't unlocked Waterloo. You're telling me Waterloo isn't like instantly unlocked? Alright, let's go to Charing Cross and cross the bridge actually. Yeah, that'd be quite nice. Actually, that'd be a nice little thing, yeah. Or maybe we should have gone the other side. We go like the St. Thomas side. Either way, it's going to be delightful, guys. Wait for this. It's going to be a lovely London experience, you know. Oh, real London experience. Real London experience. Hey, how you doing? Okay, where are we? Who just called me a fuckwit? How dare you? So I need to go back on myself and take the first left. Right. Oh, actually, could I take this, please? Thanks, Daft Punk. I mean, you've ended your career now, so don't expect, you know, privileges. Oh shit! Wait, when did these When did the waypoint things appear? Oh, why are they never the one I want? Go faster. It's your right, it's a car. Go backwards, you bitch. Yeah. Basically writing poetry.
Look around. No stone unturned. Drone, initiate search. Don't see anything here.
I actually got New Scotland Yard. That's pretty cool. That's what the filth live. You're absurd of fucking roses. Holy shit! They put advertising on the London Eye. Oh no, I suppose not advertising. It's just the security thing, isn't it? Threat level severe. That's nuts, though. That's scary. They probably will put advertising on there one day, right? They do pretty nice fireworks displays. Oh, do you reckon if there's New Year's Eve on this game, we get to see the badass fireworks displays? They got the same shit on Big Ben. That's disgusting. Okay, Stream Raider Battle is ready. Let's quickly just devastate some boats. What? That was a sailboat. Oof, I actually helped them there. Right. Now, the real question is, if I parkour down here, does it kill me? Probably not, right? Yeah, cool. It just breaks my legs slightly. Right, sweet. Oh, nice. Right, I wonder if they have like the bookstore, the book market down here. It doesn't look like it. The book market's usually just under that bridge. There's usually a load of like street performers here as well. There's usually always a busker, usually always a dude doing statue shit. Yeah, actually one of these. Wow, they're doing it really well too. Good to see that art's being kept going, you know. Usually there's protesters here. There used to be a badass park over there that once we nearly slept in because we were sleepy. Good story, right? Oh, fuck off. Are you actually rebuilding this or what? Why have you got this up? I haven't bought a ticket. I totally haven't even bought a ticket. This is cheeky. See this stuff? Oh, in a gorgeous picture. Okay. Well, for anybody who's never had the chance to go on the London Eye, you get to do the whole fucking 20-minute thing here. I remember the first time I met an ex's like mum and her like stepdad was on the London Eye. Like we met them just down there, and I then spent the next like 20 minutes inside like a pod with them. It was all right, but before it was going on, I was a bit like, this could be the worst thing fucking ever. Never even been to the south? I mean, I would say like, what? But I've never been to like Yorkshire. I actually have like heritage there. Oh, they got the... Is that meant to be the Oxo building? They've changed the Oxo building to O Square. Probably for trademark reasons, I guess, actually. Is that meant to be the Shard? Got the Gherkin over there. Oh wait, maybe that's the thingy. Can you see the Wembley Arches from here? You should be able to, I reckon. If I knew what actual direction it was in properly, you know. Stand somewhere over there. Oh. Yeah, you did have an eye somewhere. Yeah, it wasn't a London one, obviously, but yeah, you did have an eye. I remember that. Budget ass like impersonation, you know. Well, maybe Wembley's arches have been taken down. So can I not break free? I want to break free. I don't think there's any way to fast forward this. I think just like in real life, you're trapped until the end. Yeah, the London Eye is alright. I mean, it's literally what it looks like. It's just a massive fucking Ferris wheel. It's a cool sight, but you don't really need to do it that often. I think I've done it. I think I did it once as a kid.
Layers upon
Once that
layers of
time
history.
when I met my ex's like mum and that. Maybe one other time. I'm not really fussed about it. I think it's only if other people proper want to do it. I'm like, yeah, cool. But otherwise, it's just a Ferris wheel. Once you've seen it once or twice, then you've seen it enough times. Take a picture, you know. I think the interesting thing would be to do it in the day and to do it at night. I think that's the only real reason to like go on it more than once. It's just to see like London at night time. That'd be cool. It's long. It's proper long. You have to queue for ages too. Hey, Gripple Grabs! How you doing there, buddy? We're on a real slow London Eye. Yeah, I think at night it'd be pretty badass. I think I went on it at night. Or I think one time I went on it and it was like kind of dusk as we're going up and it was dark by the time we came back down. They call it the Millennium Wheel. Wasn't it called the Millennium Wheel way, way, way before the London Eye, when they had the Millennium Stadium, but Millennium Stadium wasn't even that close to here. But why is it still called... It's the London Eye. Why is it called the... Oh, maybe London Eye again is a trademark thing, but Millennium Wheel isn't now, so they've gone back to using Millennium Wheel? That's weird, though. I swear it's just called... It used to be called Millennium Wheel, and it's now the London Eye. Because, like you said, you had the Northern Eye, or whatever it was called. Yorkshire Eye. Middlesbrough Eye. It doesn't have the same ring to it as the London Eye, hey? The Middlesbrough Eye. No offence to anyone from Middlesbrough, but it's a wretched place. You need to move. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember what town it was in either. The Lincoln Eye? Wait, did I just press escape and it actually let me off this thing? Motherfucker. Well, at least I know. And at least now, if anybody that I meet now, from now on, is ever like, oh yeah, do you want to go to London Eye? I'll just be like, nah, I'll just boot up Watch Dogs Legion. I'll let you have a go on that, have at it. Now, the real question, and this could get me, this would give me, you know, this would put the game at a 10 out of 10 and work its way down from there. No, they've lost it. They had one chance about a potential 10 out of 10. That word above here, that should show you everything I was hoping for. They had a chance to have the London Aquarium, and motherfuckers haven't got it. It says opening soon, new owner. Maybe there's a mission in game where you get to go into the London Aquarium, but you sons of bitches, how dare you put that word there and dangle those whales and then have it closed. I don't even want to play the game. I just want to go through London Aquarium. It's been a while. It's really cool. They still got the burgers and stuff. Fish and chips here will cost you an arm and a leg. Fucking pricey. Yeah, you know. Oh shit, look at this person's trousers. You alright? You alright? Let's go see if they have St. Thomas. They do have St. Thomas. Look at it. It's actually pretty, it's looking pretty accurate. This is where I did a month-long pain management thing where I had to stay in hospital for fucking ages. Oh shit, they got a fountain and everything. That's sick. Oh, but they changed this building. So basically, that back building there and like all around, that's actually all like bedrooms, like hotels and like, well, not so much a hotel. It's like they're like sections that have like 4 bedrooms and then there's like a kitchen and like toilet shower type thing. But yeah, this is crazy. So I'd have done all of like my pain management stuff in like this building here on the lower floor. The main hospital door should be around there somewhere. Maybe they've changed it because there's these here. Then usually this walkway would go all the way back. That's the rooms with like the hotel bit. Well, that's like a little flash in nostalgia. Is it just an Albion place now? Yeah, St. Thomas Hospital. Fucking A. I wouldn't mind a sandwich. Maybe I'll go get a sandwich quick. You can't actually get in the hospital? Well, that's bullshit. Let me kill some people. Now you open the hospital. Now open the hospital. There's casualties. Oh shit, I'm an intruder. Oh, I need to get to this place? I completely forgot what I was doing. Alright, cool. I'm out. Oh shit. Actually, I might go and unlock Waterloo Station quickly, because I feel like it's silly that we haven't got Waterloo Station already activated. I want to take that sports car though. Wait. Stop. Alright, let's go. Waterloo, I'm driving straight to you.
What do we have, Bagley?
Some Albion guards.
Oh, it's actually at Waterloo Station.
High-tech weaponry to clank
Okay, cool. The mission's at Waterloo Station, so that's all good.
but it hardly rises to the level of evil scheme.
Nothing a little destruction can't fix.
No, I'm saying. Oh, this is like where you come out to piss. I'm not actually getting the building. That just looks like my way in. fuck was that? Did you just see a person flashing on my screen there? Or am I just straight tripping right now? Either way, good times, good times. I hope I need to go all the way up. Well, the other side is there's a lot of roofs I've never been to in London, so it's cool if we can go check out some London rooftops, you know. Oh, shit, there's people.
There are the weapons.
Oh yeah, I forgot I had an actual objective.
Beginning investigation. Searching for target.
Yeah, danger. Will Robinson.
Drone, engage search and alert protocol.
Okay. I like to play.
Let's keep looking.
They say it's clear, but something tells me their hearts don't fully believe it.
Currently searching the perimeter. Target remains undetected.
Quadrant clear. Moving to assist. Is someone tampering with security?
Oh, what's that? Okay, time to send in the spider. It's nice and clear now, right? Okay, I'm gonna try and get on that rooftop. Yeah, nice. I don't know why I'm not more freaked out by this spider. I kind of find this spider cute. I suppose it's more of a crab. They call it a spider, but it's only got 6 legs. That's just cruel. I mean, fair enough, spiders are shitheads, but... Oh, shit.
Investigating disturbance. Target in sight.
Oh, dear. Can I not use the spider to... Shit. Okay, well, shit.
Standard quadrant search. Go.
So, I've just got destroyed at.
Searching sequence.
The spider can't shoot anything, can it? No. What's that about, though? I kind of want to see what that's about. Oh, cool. I thought it was just going to be a hiding spot. 1,000 from that. Fuck. Maybe if I, like, make myself obvious on here, they'll start shooting this. So now if I do this, I'm hoping they'll just shoot the box. No, okay, they can just get me. Right. Now, I want to... No. You son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Okay.
No sign yet.
Okay, I need that guy to fuck off.
This area is clear. Keep moving.
Hold it in.
Again. No arguing with that logic.
Oh, fucking hell, that was hardly a silent takedown, right? Jesus Christ. Just body checked him.
Standard quadrant search. I have this one. Drone, initiate search.
Okay. Now, do I have anything I can just destroy it with, or do I just have to, like, shoot it? I just have to shoot it, right? That's dumb.
Excellent. You've dismantled the non-existent conspiracy. Shall we let our friend know what we found?
No, let's just get the fuck out. I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out like that.
Right, fan out and find the target. Drone, area search.
Oh shit, they're taking over Waterloo Station though. Transport hub, man.
Damn it, they're gone.
So run the fuck away. Oh, I can't get through the gap.
Hey,
Oh
we
shit!
took care of
Look
everyone
at
on
that
your
shit!
list. Now, I don't want to argue with
That's
you.
cool.
But there was no conspiracy. Just a bunch of evil bastards trying to line their
Out the way.
pockets.
Eh? No, they must have covered their tracks pretty good. They are too smart. But at least you did what I asked. I can see what side you are on.
Just pay more attention
You're
to left and right.
easily fooled, but I think I can trust you.
DedSec is looking to fill the ranks. You should join.
Okay, yes, let's do it.
Nice.
A resistance is only as good as the people in it. We're happy to have you.
Oh, this is he was wearing a mask. I get it. I get it. He was one of the
Good
mask
to
people.
hear.
Oh fuck no. So far, our gang's been built up of a lot of fighters. He seemed pretty safe.
Doing a sweep of the premises.
Oh yeah, that's one of our peeps anyway. Let's put it that way. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at the missions. So we got our recruitment missions. Hey, and Testicle, how you doing there, buddy? Right, yeah, proper Boris Johnson haircut, yeah. Let's get, let's just go through the list one by one, I guess. Or actually, let's get Conniff. Yeah, let's go get Conniff. Yeah. You are not wrong there. And how you doing today, buddy? Hey, shit, thank you very much for the follow. Super nice of you. Alright, Camden Town. Let's go. Let's have it. I should go check see if they have the barfly and shit, actually. Anyway. I'm just going to take this. Oh, there's actually a human being in this one. There's rarely humans in this. I'm not doing a right-hand turn. Get him. I was electrocuted at the butterfly. Where the fuck? What? Why is it taking me so much round? That's not how Camden works. Fuck, hang on. That's not how Camden works. The Ferris wheel was called the Wheel of Sheffield. Oh, it was actually in Sheffield. Okay, it got moved to Hyde Park in London. Why? We already have a giant Ferris wheel. Why did we need 2 giant Ferris wheels? Also, that makes... Yeah, Camden... I'm guessing they decided they only want to do up to the bridge with Camden, because... First of all, this should be a straight road, pretty much. Hey, and that was a super late fucking reaction on that, but thank you very much again for the follow. Stormzy in 2095, too old for your boots. That's it. Man can't die, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that was a good one. That was a real good one. That was 2 in a lamp box. Lamp box? Telephone box. Okay, let's go to the mission. I'm getting distracted. Oh shit, I wonder if they have London Zoo. Alright, maybe... Get out of my way. What'd I do? Oh, I thought this was Great Britain! Oh, that one's fair, that one's fair. I did murder. Oh, yeah. Money in my shoebox. Okay, let's try and find a way to London Zoo quick. Well, I'm tempted to try and find both London Zoo and also try and find Coco. Now, I'm gonna go check Coco first. I'm pretty sure it's just down here. Mornington Crescent's just down here, I think. I don't think Coco's in this. I think this is where they started taking liberties with the area again. Okay. Let's go see if we can buy London Zoo. I didn't watch Tottenham shit, no, but I heard they were doing bad, which was very nice to hear. What was the final score? Make my night. I mean, they must have London Zoo, but I think they've changed the directions of stuff a little bit. Let's just go do the mission, plug it. 3-0, fucking A. Good times. That's beautiful. Although I didn't mind them being in because it just meant they were potentially going to be more knackered and shitter in the league. We don't need them to be shitter in the league, it's fine. They doing it themselves. Who'd you follow by the way as well? Have to wait until 4 for this one? I guess I'll wait until 4. I just put Arsenal right there. Still not as good as the Mighty Hammers, but you know, fair. I don't want to actually fight. Or do I have to fight to do this mission? This door needs to close before I can do anything. I can see the marker. Let me run away and run back. Get out of my way, bitch. Now let's see if I can do it. Don't fight you on that one. That's fine. As long as you're not Tottenham or Chelsea. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Arsenal, but it's not as bad as Tottenham or Chelsea. So I can't do this one for now, I'm guessing. Conniff is right there, though. Unless he's just... I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. I'm incredibly sorry. I'm incredibly sorry. Please go away. Please stop chasing me. Fine, I'm going to murder him by the canal. This is not my fault if this happened. Alright, he gave up. He heard me say I'd murder him by the canal and fucked off. Just like this boat, I'm going to murder you. See? Chicken shit boat. What are you saying, fam? Fleeing. Bless him. So, Conniff? Are we all good, by the way? Assaulted by operative. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm guessing this one's a little bit glitched. I mean, he's right there. He's still fleeing. Denied multiple construction permits. Oh. Okay, well, that mission's a bust for now. We'll come back to that one, I guess. Let's just go to Bare Knuckle Amateur Darren Ribeiro. And we can go kick up. Oh, we can do some like Bricklayer's Arms. Alright, nice. What's the nearest tube station to here? Probably Kennington, right? Okay. Oh shit, was there... My bad, Raiders. Alright, let's go. My bad. I completely forgot that happened. Right, I'm gonna give us extra special killing powers this time. Nice one, Almighty, by the way. Cool, right, we got that out of the way. Now just all these other fuckers. Looking good though. So just a few more punks to take out and we good. Oh shit, okay. There's been a turning point, but it was like Einan's giant paladin will save today. Hopefully. Where's he going? Where's he going? Where you going? Oh wait, we still got whoever's thingy that is. Benny the Button, right, okay. I had no idea what Einan's doing. He was just like, I'm kind of bored of this. I'm going to have a wander, see what's around. Am I in Einan it again? God damn. Alright, we're going to do one more, yeah. So it's a green loyalty chest, unknown difficulty. Fight with Gusto and Ono. You know, no? Let me put it down. Right. Okay, okay. So let me quickly claim some of these quest ones I've got. I think it's just that one, right? Yeah, cool. Okay, let's back to the game.
Auto drive now enabled.
Have I put where I actually want to go? Does it know? Set that as waypoint, okay. Oh, so I was just going to randomly auto drive. Let me just help it turn. I don't know why I don't just set more waypoints, then I can see way more. Guys, done with the lockdown in UK? Not fully yet, no. We've, I think... I'm alright in thinking it's going to be in April they're changing shit up. I think April we're going to be allowed stuff back again, potentially. Or that's the next review point, but more and more people are having their injections now, so I think they're hoping by summer at least it'll be like fully out of it, lockdown wise at least. I just wanna praise you. Black man. I actually had my first vaccine yesterday, yeah. So I've still got to have obviously my one in like another 3 months, I think. Yeah, like 12 weeks, yeah. Excuse me, but yeah. Wait, you? You meaning to chat, mate? You meaning to chat? I had the AstraZeneca, yeah. The Oxford AstraZeneca, I think it was.
You were dead, Zach.
The blood clot
Just
one.
so happened to need some help.
Wait, what? Was this the guy I was fighting? He wasn't talking like this when I fought him.
Been very sick. Respiratory illness.
But yeah, have you had yours? And was that the one you had potentially?
There's no way for him to get any help. So he took the only
It's been alright so far. I don't feel like I have COVID.
An expensive Clan Kelly doctor. I forked out the cash.
It's doing the job.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Well, the drugs worked. Oh, did they ever? My friend got hooked on the stuff, and this doctor immediately
This guy's meant to be
started
a
raising the price.
bare fist fighter. What?
I want to help.
I just got
but
such
I
a
don't know
posh
how.
boy voice. This is the dude who had Wise boy written on his head, right? You're getting the Sputnik. Just get the spaceship injected. Beautiful.
Well, this quote-unquote doctor is a real winner. He was struck off the medical register for gross malpractice last year.
Hey,
And now
what
he's
are
a
you saying?
freelance mob surgeon. Nice work if you can get it.
Good work. Can you track him down?
I am quite literally
Shackles
always
on
tracking
my
anyone
feet
down.
so I can
Especially great coordinates
say
now.
just wanna praise ya. Just want some Frasier. Go for it. Yeah! Fly, boss! Good times. Let's see if we can reverse this one back over. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, that's it. This is some fucking Discovery Channel shit. Let's get this one. You're not getting anywhere. Come back. Back further. A bit more. Keep going back. That lady should get off the road. It's not safe to be on the road anytime, especially when this shit's happening. That's it. Keep going back. Playing chicken. Keep going back. Keep going back. Keep going back. Keep going back. I was playing chicken with this truck, and the truck clearly gave up before I did. Okay, new parts of London, so we're going Moorgate. Okay, cool. I wonder if we'll be able to go to Cockfosters. Cockfosters. Real place. Has a tube station and everything. Excuse me. Oh, can I get air off this dude? Technically correct, yes, I can. Oh, this one looks cool. Hang on. Can I? Oh, I can drive it. Okay. Oh, this is weird. I'm guessing these are like taxis, right? Does it say taxi on it? It says driver. Got a bit of speed to it, you know? Shortcut, excuse me. Wait, what did I do? I didn't do anything illegal. Shortcut. Shortcut.
The Clan Kelly doctor you're looking for is close by. Seems he's got a laptop with him too, presumably with a folder somewhere on it labelled Crimes.
Fucking 5-0 after me.
Target is long gone. Disengage.
You right, lads? How you doing? Oh, he's actually got some skills, you know.
Wait, Bishop. Leave me alone. Leave you alone. Yes, please. I just don't be telling me what you. This is our territory. Ah, stop it! Oh.
You should run. Save that guy's life. Get back here, you slag. So I'll give that a little army.
There's the laptop.
Mission accomplished. Oh shit, and Holy Might Gaming, thank you very much for the host there, buddy. How you doing? Is the plot happening actually in London? Yes, yeah, the plot is happening here. It's pretty multicultural so far. Get him, get him, get him. Yeah, boy. Wait, I can do shit here too?
We need a thorough scan. There's an intruder.
They don't know there's an intruder. What makes you think there's an intruder? Oh shit, okay. So that's back out there, right?
Nothing more we can do. They're gone.
Oh shit, I think that's the wrong one. Let's send the spider in anyway. It's that time. Oh shit. Can it get over there? Oh no, now it's off the bins as well. You son of a bitch. We got this. Ain't nothing but a spider thing, baby. Not like really now. Oh, there was a little crawl space there that I could have got in. That's nice. Can we get in this door? Sweet. Let's go to the upstairs one first. Hello. Wait. Nice. Oh, look, it's me. Sometimes you spend so long as a spider bot, you forget that there was a human there all along. Hey, Luna! How you doing there? It's been a while. Have you been keeping well? Lovely to see you. Oh, shit. Who that? Guy needs to fuck off. Fuck him. He's not really paying attention. That's why he got demoted last spring. Go. There is no way any of us could have known that was going to happen. How are you going to see me straight away? How is he going to see me straight away? What did I fall with that? Oh, at least the gang members have gone there. Can I get through that? No. I could just go in there and murder them. Can I take a gun and shit? I want a real gun. I don't want this shit no more. Stakes are real now. Is there something in here I needed to do? This one. Okay. Put these bloody cars here. Well, this is an issue. I might need to move the car. Where did they just come from?
Get to safety while I analyze the data.
The fuck? Where did they just appear from, man? Jesus. Let's do it Indiana Jones style. Go! Oh, that was plenty of time. I can give myself way more time next time.
I'm sure Mary Kelly won't mind if you nick a few.
I've got to steal the medical van. Okay. All the way across London. Hey, we're going to Brixton. Sweet. Actually, let me... So that's a waypoint first. Nice. Low mobility, no cover or sprint. Saxophone mode. Big for ETO, light melee weapon, extra faction damage. I'm gonna recruit him, you know. He can be our eyes on the street. The street rat. Oh, bloody hell. Alright, fine. I'll take this bike and I'll be on my way. Brush your teeth. Good message, good message. And we
Detecting a vehicle nearby with at least 2 years' worth of treatments inside, that's more than enough to wean our contact's friend off the treatment.
Yes, I understand.
Fine, I'll just pump my bike here. I think I've gone the wrong way anyway. Wonder if my mate Gary's in. Doesn't look like. I won't bother him, it's getting late. 7 o'clock, I think he's getting his kids in bed at least, so.
There's the vehicle with the drugs in it. Try not to destroy it.
I'm gonna destroy it. It's my house. Right, so I've got to find a way in there, really. Can I come up here? Excuse me, I know you won't live here, but... Here we go, yeah. Oh, what's this? Brixton barrier block. Okay. I'm glad I read that. That was pretty good, actually. Who's seen me? You? You done, son. You done. So they don't follow me up here. Oof. I think I just broke his spine.
I have the vehicle. What do I do now?
I found a safe location where our friend can pick it up.
Okay, alright, this will be a waypoint.
Send
Oh shit.
you the coordinates now.
I put my siren on. It's a matter of emergency here. It's their own fault.
Auto drive now enabled.
Auto drive makes me drive at 2 miles per hour. Such an important emergency.
Auto drive now disabled.
Just do it dramatically to help the grime music every now and then. Excuse me. I gassed. Excuse me, I'm coming through. Look at this ambulance thinking it's too good to get out of the way of another ambulance. It's a matter of life and death. Get out of the way. Nearly there. Nearly there. And perfect parking job. Nice.
It is done now. We take care of him. We have your medicine. It is safe now in vehicle, waiting for you to pick up. We will send you the location.
Thank you. I'm in your debt.
You seem tough, like a fighter. We like this in Danzig. You want to join?
All right. I'm in. Let's have some fun.
Oh, I like fun. Let's see what it's saying. I just remember this wasn't the guy that had bad wide boy or whatever it was on his head. Wise boy. Because that was the one who it glitched out. Yeah,
We need
this
more
is another one.
cheeky fucks like you with us. People who like to get their hands dirty.
Oh, yes. I'm ready, willing, and able to serve.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Nice, nice. Did he serve any actual purpose to the player, or are they just cool things to run over? Just cool things to run over, okay. Whoa! That one got some air.
Search the area. Someone's hacked this vehicle. Or someone thinks they're funny. Find out who they are.
Oh, clear it out.
Oh shit, look at that car, that's nice.
Spread out.
Fucking hell.
Drone, search.
Got him! This is probably the most fun bit. I could do this all night. And he's gone. Anyway, right, let's... Oh, I haven't actually saved the game at all yet. Was that? Okay, I thought that was stream error just for a second, but I think it just sounded coincidentally like it. Okay, cool. So, I think we're probably going to call it there, but we'll do a little giveaway